بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. صح فطوركم كما جرت العادة كل ليلة في موضوع جديد في الحجر العلمي. بعد 11 موضوع، اليوم نجيو في موضوع جديد مع الدكتور سليمان بن محمود، أستاذ في كلية التكنولوجيا، تخصص إلكترونيك. درنا لايف سيشن على English for Academic Purpose، الشيء اللي راح يعاون كثير طلبة الدكتوراه وطلبة الماستر لكتابة المذكرات والمقالات الخاصة بهم. نشكر الأستاذ على الحضور تاعو معنا وعدم التردد في قبول الدعوة، وإن شاء الله نستفادوا كامل من البرزنتيشن تاعو. وفي آخر البرزنتيشن إن شاء الله راح نطرحوا عليه الأسئلة اللي طرحتوها في البث على صفحة الفيسبوك، وأيضا الناس اللي طرحت الأسئلة تاعها في الشات على منصة التحاضر عن بعد. يتفضل الأستاذ سليمان، مشكور.
شكرا أستاذ. Thank you, sir.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Well, good evening and صحة فطوركم. First of all, I would like to thank you all for your virtual presence. Special thanks go to Dr. Regmi Kemaldin for his efforts in serving our university as the director of the digitization division and for organizing these scientific quarantines events, which is live evenings. Also, I would like to thank the man behind the scene, Dr. Zamit Abdelrahim. Well, it's nice to be here. I'm happy to be here and have the possibility to give this presentation. So, as you may already have seen, I'm here to give a talk about English for writing research papers, which will be the first session in the series English for Academic Purposes. This is supposed to be my name, and this is my email address. Well, just to mention here that you can get your own copy from these slides by just scanning this QR code. So you will get your own copy in your mobile device, and you can follow me from this device. I have to stop these options, auto smooth options. Well, this is the outline of what I will be presenting for the next couple of tens of minutes. And before talking in this next section about the English that you need to write your paper, I want to share with you some of the tips and the tricks you may need to write and publish your paper. So let's start our journey with the how-to of writing your research paper. Well, let's start by some facts. Well, according to a study from Ottawa University in 2009, approximately 2.5 million new scientific papers are published each year. Every day, 7,000 scientific papers are written but not necessarily accepted for publication. More than 2/3 of published scientific papers are written by persons whose native language is not English. Approximately 20% of comments reviewers make when reviewing papers regard English language issues. Well, more than 250,000 PhD students are in the European Union alone. China has nearly 1 million researchers, where Japan has 675,000 researchers, and there are 500,000 researchers in the Russian Federation. Well, let me now ask you a question. Well, take into account that to make this session more interactive, I will be asking you several questions, and I'm gonna give you the chance to answer these questions and please try to provide your answers for those questions in the form or of Facebook's comments below. So we are gonna answer them. Okay, my first question is here. Think of 3 good reasons for publishing your research in a national journal. Well, I'm gonna give you 3 quotations. Well, these quotations are gonna help you to do so. I mean, to answer this first question. Well, let's start with the first quotation. Let's read it. Dr. Kemal, just to make sure that everyone is hearing me. Do you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. Let's start with the first quotation. Let's read it. From note-taking to publishing, to teaching, language is the tool that gives sense to scientific activity. What does this mean? This means that if you want to give sense to scientific activities, you need language as a tool to do so. Whatever language here is used for note-taking, for publishing, or for teaching. Let's continue. Whatever scientists do or observe, everything they come to know or hypothesize is mediated through language. What does this mean? This means that the only language to communicate your research findings, your research results, is the language. This is the first quotation from this book. You may check it. Let me give the second quotation. The second quotation is the very, very famous book written by Dr. Robert Day, entitled How to Write and Publish a Scientific Paper. He says that the writing of an accurate, understandable paper is just as important as the research itself. What does this mean? This means that the language that you use to write a given paper or a given research has the same importance as the research itself. He is talking here about the importance of language. Well, the third quotation, let me read it. Writing helps you to learn. Writing is not simply a task to be done once research or other preparation is completed. It can be an integral part of the work progress. What does this mean? This means that I have some kind of echo, Dr. Kemal.
Yeah.
I'm hearing myself.
Yeah. Is it regular now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay.
Well, okay. What does this quotation mean? Well, this means that you have to use writing in every stage of your scientific progress, of your scientific project, of your work. You have to use language in every stage, not just for writing your report or something like that. Again, this is a quotation from a very famous book with the title Handbook of Writing for Mathematical Sciences. I advise you to check all the 3 of those books, which are very famous in the field of science and academia. Well, in the next slides, I'm gonna analyze the benefits of publishing your research paper or a given research paper, and I'm gonna suggest some approaches to help you to do those things. First, to help you to choose the right journal and to understand what the editor expects from a paper in terms of content, style, and structure. To help you also to decide the order in which to write the various sections of your paper, starting from the abstract to the introduction to other parts. Also, to help you keep the referees happy, which is very important to keep them happy, the referees or the reviewers. Well, let me ask you two other questions. The first one is, why should I publish my paper? The second one, how do I know whether my research is worth publishing? So please try to answer these questions in the form of Facebook's comments. And later we are gonna try to answer these questions for you. Well, first, you will be more motivated to write a good paper if you have thought about exactly what you want to have, why you want to have your research published. Okay. One of the reasons to publish your paper is that you believe that you can make a contribution in a gap in your research field. I mean, some ideas that are not processed yet, which they are not people they did not deal with it. You can fill this gap. Well, if you can write down concisely what this contribution is, I mean, what your contribution in your research is, this will be helpful. And you have to also to double check that your proposed contribution is really original. Okay? Well, another question. Which journal should I choose to publish in my research work, my manuscript, my paper, if you want to say? Okay, first, if it is your first paper and your supervisor had not indicated any specific journal where he wants you to publish your paper, so it is a good idea if you ask your colleagues in your same group, in the same lab, where do they publish their works. Also, which is an interesting point, some publishers, they offer a similar service. What does this mean? This means like Springer and Elsevier, they provide a service to help you to choose the right journal where you have to publish your paper. This journal should belong to one of their databases. You will get like a given window where you have to enter the title of your paper, the abstract of your paper, and some of the keywords of your research. Then you hit the search button, and you will be prompted by a list of journals where you can submit your paper. Where, even if it is your first paper, this does not mean that it will only be suitable for just a marginal journal or not a very well-known one. This means that...
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry for the depressing you, but
No
we
problem.
don't see the presentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just loading.
Okay, what's this? Yeah, so you have been hearing my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting from which slide?
The 3 questions. Why should I publish? How do...
Okay. Should we start again, or
no? Just republish the screenshot.
Okay, it's just saying that loading. Do I need to end sharing and start again?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna hit end sharing and sharing. Okay, I'm gonna share it again. Great. So, sorry for that.
Not much. Huh?
Okay, what about now?
Okay. It's okay.
Okay.
It's great now.
Great. I'm gonna get full screen. Okay, so we have to go back here, right, to this slide.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 7. Okay. Okay, the two questions are that the participants have to answer them in the form of Facebook's comments. The first question is why should I publish my research? How do I know whether my research is worth publishing? Well, these questions are clear, or do I need to explain them, or do I need to translate them in Arabic, or are the questions clear, Dr. Kemal?
Yeah, for me are clear,
Okay,
but we are waiting for their comments.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Okay, yeah.
If you have thought about exactly what you want to have why you want to have your research published, so you will be more motivated to write a good paper. This means that you will have more motivation to write a good paper if you have already thought exactly why you want to have your research published, your purpose of publishing your paper. Okay. One of your reasons to publish your paper may be your belief that you can fill a given gap in your field by your contribution. Okay, it will be more helpful if you can write. Well, I'm talking about writing in every stage of your research. So write down concisely what this contribution is. You have to write it on a sheet of paper, exactly what is your contribution. And you have also to double check that your proposed contribution really is original. You have to be sure that your contribution is original. Okay. So another question, which journal should I choose to publish my research in? Okay, I'm gonna give some steps that could help you to do so. To choose the journal where you have to publish your work. So the first point is, if it is your first paper and your supervisor has not indicated any sort of journal where he wants you to publish your paper, so it is a good idea if you ask your colleagues where do they publish their works, right? Okay. Another interesting point is that some publishers, like I have said, like Springer and Elsevier, they offer similar service. They offer a given service that can help you to find the right journal just by entering some given informations like the title of your manuscript, the abstract of your manuscript, and some keywords. Then hit the search button and you will be prompted by a list of journals where you can submit your your manuscript, and they are gonna give you like some statistics on how your paper, what's the percentage of acceptance of your paper in these things, and all sorts of that. Well, here, even if it is your first paper, this does not mean that it will only be suitable for a marginal or not a very well-known journal. What does this mean? This means in درجة that ما تحقرش خدمتك, okay? Even if it is your first paper, it may be suitable for a very famous journal, for a high-impact journal. This is just to motivate people. Okay, great. This is an interesting point. Your progress in academia is highly dependent of your ability to publish in high impact factor journal. Now, what is the impact factor? The impact factor is a measure of how prestigious the journal is. The higher the impact factor, the better the journal is. Okay. However, Given the difficulties of getting published in high-impact journals, you may consider publishing a short article or a letter. What does this mean? This means that if you cannot publish in a high-impact journal, you can go and publish a short paper or a letter. Also, a literature review is also publishable. It means that you can write a paper where just you have to be done with the literature review, and this could be publishable. Okay? Well, the topic you choose to write about should be related to the journal where you want to publish, which is evident. Another point, a remark, many online journals advertise their services by sending emails to unsuspecting researchers. Please do not submit to such journals your manuscripts. Why? Because either they are scams or at the very best, they have no impact factor. Okay, another question. Okay, how can I know exactly what the editor is looking for? Well, let's try to answer this. Well, read as many papers as you can from the chosen journal. Read as many as you can papers from the journal where you want to publish your paper. Okay. Okay, here are some of the typical things that editors hope to find in your manuscript. Well, concerning the type of the paper, it should be original. The subject should be a hot topic. It should be also original and innovative. It could not be outdated topic, right? Your aim of this research, I mean, your purpose should be very clear, right? The research should be also well conducted. Your results now should be in line with the research objectives. What does this mean? This means that you cannot claim such and such research objectives, and lately your results will not be in line with what you have claimed as research objectives. Well, your results should be either entirely new or should be confirmation of other previous results. Your results should not be too broad. It should be specific. It should be specific. Sometimes your results should be always generalizable. It means it can be generalized. For the length of the paper, it should be either short or long according to what the journal is requiring and according to what you have claimed. For example, you cannot claim that you are submitting a full-length paper and after that they found that you are submitting just a letter. This could not be accepted. Well, here is the style of the language that you are using. If it is personal, so you will use I or we, or it is impersonal, so you will use the passive voice, or it is a mix of both of them where you can use the active and the passive voice, both of them. Okay, great. What preparation do I need to do to prepare my manuscript and to write it, to submit it, and everything? Well, here is a remark or a suggestion or an advice. You have to read the most frequently cited papers to see how the authors rationalize the various steps of their research. So try to read the most and the frequently cited papers in your field. Well, Try to read those papers who you will be probably caught in your section on the review of literature. So it's mandatory that you have a literature review part, even if it is included in your introduction, and you are gonna cite some papers. So try to use these papers that you are gonna cite them. Okay. Also, try to read papers which are highly relevant to your topic, which are strongly related to the topic you are working on. Also, try to read classic papers in your general field, which have a very high weight in your general fields. Okay. Another question. How can I create a template? How can I create a template? Here we are speaking metaphorically. We don't mean by template the one used in Microsoft Word or LaTeX or any other sort of text editing softwares. We mean by a template the paper that you choose as a model to follow it. Okay, what are the condition on choosing this paper? So choose one paper, just one paper that is written, that is close to your topic, that is written by a native English speaker, not a non-native English speaker, where you will find a lot of errors. Try also to read papers, to choose the paper that you enjoy reading. You will not hate this paper. So use this paper as a model, as I have already said, into which you can paste your own research. Again, we are speaking here metaphorically. Paste, it is not the paste we know. It means that this is a process of mapping from a group to a group, like in mathematics, right? Okay, notice how your model paper is structured. Great. Dr. Campbell, is everything clear?
Yeah, everything is good.
Great. Let's take another question. In what order should I write the various sections of my paper? This is a frequently asked question. People, they always ask this question. In which order should I write the various sections of my paper? Should I start with the abstract or the introduction or go to another section? Well, the relevant answer here is that there is no standard order. You can choose the order that is relevant to you, right? So you can either start from a given section, you can go directly to the abstract or start with the introduction. You can also do a simultaneous work. It means that you can write several sections simultaneously. It means in parallel. Yeah. Okay. Another question. Should I write the initial draft in my own language before writing it in English? Which is also a frequently asked question, right? Okay, great. Okay. As an advice from me to you, please write directly in English rather than your own native language or even your second language. You have not to write your first manuscript neither in Arabic nor in French. You have to start directly writing it in English. Why? Let me say this. This may be hard at the beginning, but with a model paper, as I have suggested, as a model paper, it should be quicker than translating from your own language to English. Also, it should also be more reliable and accurate because you will be using some standard phrases that you have lifted directly or adapted from your model English paper. The paper we have already talked about it, your model paper, right? So this should be more beneficial and it will be more fast. Okay. How do I know what style and structure to use? Here we are talking about the conventional template and about the style we have to use. Okay. Well, each journal has its own requirements and style guide. Those style guides have different namings. It can be named instructions for authors. It can be named notes for authors. It can be named author guidelines or author guides. Well, you have to rigorously follow your chosen journal's instructions to authors. It means that you have to follow exactly what is given in this author's guide. You have to download it, print it, and follow it to prepare your paper. Okay. Another question. Whose responsibility is it to ensure my paper is understood? Mine or my readers? Mine or my readers? Dr. Kemal, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. It's okay.
Okay.
I
What do
think
you think?
it's my readers.
I didn't get it. Could you
I
please say it
think
again?
the response is my readers.
Okay, great. Let's answer this. Well, actually, you may agree or disagree with me in this, but I see it this way. It depends on the culture you belong to. I'm gonna explain this in the screen. So I see it like there exist two approaches. The first one is a receiver-oriented culture. In this approach, it is your job as a reader rather than the speakers or the writers' responsibility to make sense of what you hear and read. And I have cited as an examples for these cultures the French and the Arabian cultures. You see this? In Arabic we say, or in Derja, even in Derja we say, أنا نقول لك وأنت دبر راسك فهمها. Right? عوم بحرك. And in French we say, vous devez se débrouiller vous-même ou quelque chose comme ça. Vous devez yeah. The second approach is the transmitter-oriented culture. Well, which is the culture I like more. It is the responsibility of the speaker or the writer to ensure that their audience understand what they are saying. And I gave here as an example the Anglo culture. So, well, the speaker or the writer take all the responsibility of his work. So he has to make that the audience can understand what he is writing or what he is saying effortlessly, without even any effort. Yeah. Okay. So it's your job as the paper writer. It's your job in your paper to make the readers understand what you are saying in your paper as simple and as easy and as effortless as possible. Okay, let's ask another question. How do I keep the referees happy? The referees or the reviewers is the same thing. Okay, how can I keep them happy? Well, okay, when writing your paper, bear the following in your mind. A referee has no obligation to review your paper. Okay? The second point is write in a way that a non-expert or less experienced person can understand. The third point, make your paper interesting enough for an expert to read and to evaluate. The fourth paper is look, which is a very, very, very interesting point. Look at the forms used in the referees' reports. You can use the questions in the forms as guidelines for you to write your paper. What does this mean? Let me try to explain this. Well, the referees, when they are asked to make reports or to review a given manuscripts, they also the editor, they also give them some type of empty reports, and they have to fill these reports. So try to get those empty reports and to see the questions to be answered by the referees, to fill those reports, and based on these questions, you can write your papers, so you will convince them when they are reading your paper, your manuscript, to evaluate it. Okay? Great. Another point, what's this? Okay. Okay, let's summarize what we have said so far. Okay. The first point, decide about the most appropriate journal where you can publish your research. The second point, download the guidelines for authors, print them, read them, understand them, and follow them. The third point is choose frequently cited papers in the journal to see how other authors construct their argumentations, and note down ways in which your research is different and innovative with respect to theirs. So you will mention this as strong points in your research. 4, choose one paper as a model onto which to map your research, imitating the style and organization. We are here talking about the model paper that you have to choose to follow, which is a very, very interesting procedure. I have used to do so. Well, 5, decide on the best order to write the various sections of your paper according to what is suitable for you. Okay, make sure your contribution is very clear. Well, another point is to write in a way that even a non-expert can understand, and take your responsibility to do so. 8, referees work for free and often outside working hours. So please never submit carelessly written manuscripts. If they see it like a carelessly written manuscripts, they are gonna reject it directly. 9, access referees reports. That's what I have been explaining. Try to get those report forms to understand the ways the referees will evaluate your work. 10, write directly in English and use every opportunity to improve your English language writing skills. Okay, write directly in English, please. Do not use another language to write your manuscripts. Then try to translate it to English. That's not an efficient way. Okay. 11, use online resources. Okay, that's the first part that I want to share with you. These are some of the tricks and the tips I have learned during my work in research and academia. Well, the second part that really talks about English for writing research papers, it will come later. So, Dr. Kemal, do we make a pause here?
Yeah, Dr. Sliman, thank you for your first part.
Okay,
just
great.
just we get a few questions. I really want if you respond them
Okay,
before we go to the second part.
great. Okay.
Okay. First, we have in the chat here. Amal says, in case I'm translating an article prepared in Arabic and its
Okay.
references are in Arabic author with Arabic titles, how their translations would be? And will the paper have a chance to be publisher? So I think Amal is in literature specialty.
Okay.
That's why she's write their article in Arabic and wants to know how to translate the references.
Okay, she means if she has her article written in Arabic, then he is gonna she is gonna translate it in English. What about the references, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is the question.
Actually, I don't know exactly what she has to do, but she can like just check the journal where she wants to publish, or she just check the journal guides in this field. She may get an answer. Actually, I don't know if she has to translate the titles to put them in original in their original language. I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, okay. I think in the past session there is an editor with us in a journal in Workla University. The same question is proposed to him, and he said you have to translate the title and the authors, but you need to put into quotation the original language. For example, translated from Arabic.
Yeah. Okay.
I think he said in the past session like that. So
Yeah.
another question.
Okay. Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Another
Thank you.
question. I think Mustafa Al-Jazairi said, what is the main steps to write paper? I think you said all the steps in your presentations, but he wants a summary about the steps, one by one.
Steps from what to what? From starting his research, or he has his results and everything done. Yeah.
Yeah,
if 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 he has his results done, so he can just start writing one of the sections. As I said, there is no like required order to write his paper. He can either start by the introduction or another section. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
The question is like broad, is not specific, so because of that we cannot answer it clearly.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
see that? Yeah.
It's a global,
Yeah,
it's a global question.
it's kind of broad. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Nisreen Bilmihoubi said, should I choose the journal in which I'm going to submit my article or the topic at first, then moderate to fit the journal template? So
That's
he
that.
said,
Mhm.
should I choose the topic or choose the journal?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Well, if you are already working on a given topic, so you have to choose the journal. If you have not, if you are not working on a given topic and you want to publish in a given journal, so your topic should depend on the journal that you have to choose, right? Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So another question. Are the e-questionnaire results credible after analyzing the data using SPSS? I think the same. I think Zainab in literature specialty, she wants to know, does the data processed with SPSS are credible for publishing?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You can use a given software to process your data. Well, you cannot you can even don't mention what software you are using. You can just mention the results. So the reviewers will just evaluate your results. They have nothing to do with the software you are using.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
how do I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Another question, how to write a cover letter for a journal? I think he wants to submit his paper to Elsevier. I think Elsevier they want a cover letter for each
I see.
paper submitted.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's a clear question. Yeah, this needs like a given session to to
Yeah,
to to answer
yeah,
this question. But as a brief answer for this, there are plenty of cover letters on the internet. So just type on a Google cover letter to journal or to submit a paper or something like that, and you will be prompted by plenty of propositions. You can download some of them and like read them and write your own. Yeah.
yeah. Another question and the last question to give you time to start your second part. To write my articles, which section that I start with, even I
Yeah.
don't have results.
Yeah, we have already answered this
Yeah,
question.
I think we already answered this question.
Yeah, he can start wherever he wants. He can start at any section. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can
should we?
start your second part if you want, or if
Okay,
you
great.
want to get a pause or.
We can. We can. It's better to continue. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for all these questions. Okay. The second part will deal with the main title of this session, which is the English that you need to write your paper. This part or this section will have two parts. The first one that we are gonna deal with it today, which is how to structure a given sentence. And the second part, which is structuring a paragraph, that we are not gonna deal with it this time. Maybe next time, inshallah. Okay, let's start. So, structuring a sentence, the word order in English language. Well, let's start by this fact. Word order differs massively from language to language. Even when we say a simple concept such as "I like you," it will be "like to me you" in Croatian. In Estonian, it will be "you like to me." It will be in Irish, "you are liking to me," and it will be "I you like" in Korean, and in Spanish, it will be "to me you like you." That's just to talk about how it is important the word order in a given sentence, and how does it differ from a given language to another. Okay, what's the buzz here? What people are saying? Well, in this section, I'm gonna provide some rules that will help you to decide where to put various types of words within a given sentence. Okay. Well, the basic word order in English is the well-known one, the subject, then the verb, then its direct object, then its indirect object. Well, the order in which you put information in a sentence or a paragraph conditions the weight that your reader will give to each element of information. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that the position of any word in a given sentence that you are writing or that you are speaking, these positions will condition the weight that the reader will give to it. It means that will affect its meaning. If we can, if we want to speak about to model this mathematically, we can say that the reader's understanding will be a function of the word's positions in a given sentence. You see this? Well, the reader will give some weights to each word in your sentence according to their positions in the sentence. Okay, English has a very strict words order in a sentence. Here is an example. Well, the researchers sent their manuscript to the journal. The subject, the verb, the direct object, and the indirect object. Okay, the key here is to keep the subject, the verb, the direct and indirect object as close to each other as possible. Okay? Well, this sentence does not follow the correct order. The researchers last week sent for the second time to the journal their manuscript. If we try to analyze this sentence, we can see here that there is like a break-up between the subject and the verb. This is the break-up, and there is also a break-up between the verb and its direct object, which is their manuscripts. This is a whole break-up. This is a whole break-up. So we are not following the key rule here, which is to keep those elements of the sentence as close to each other as possible. So the correct form is to say, last week, the researchers sent their manuscript to the journal for the second time. So the verb will be here, the subject will be here, and the verb will be here, and the direct object will be here. Okay, the first rule. The first rule is to place the various elements in your sentence in the most possible logical order. Well, readers expect words, phrases that are closely related to each other to appear next to each other within the sentence. Let's give some examples. Well, the figures show for each observation time the average values of the peak areas of the compounds present in the dry standard mixture. I'm gonna give you some time to think of this and see what's not okay with it. What's the problem with this sentence? So I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds. Okay, let me answer this. Here we can see that there is a break-up between the verb and its direct object. It is direct object. This is the whole break-up. To avoid this, we have to rewrite this in a more suitable form. We have to say for for each observation time, the figures show the average values, and continue the rest of the sentence. So here the subject will be here, the verb will be here, and the direct object will be here. Another example is, overall, the match between the aggressiveness of season-based inoculation and the capacity of the fungus to be active as a function of the temperature appears strict. Also, I'm going to give you some time to think of what is not okay with this sentence. Then I'm going to write it in the correct form. So, as you can see, the verb here is almost at the end of the sentence, which is very rare in English, and it can be, sometimes it can be accepted at all. So we have to avoid this. To avoid this, we will try to rewrite this sentence as follows. We will say, overall, there seems to be a close match between the aggressiveness of season-based, and we continue our sentence. Another example, it is important to remark that our components are of a traditional design. However, we want to stress that the way the components are assembled is very innovative. I'm going to give you time to think of this. Well, in this example, the reader will think initially that the important information that the author wants to give them is that their components are of traditional design, which is not the case. The important information that they want to give us is that their components are assembled in a very innovative way, right? So we have, and we can see also that we have kind of repetition here, components. So we have to rewrite this in a correct way, in a correct way. So we will say that although our components are of a traditional design, the way they are assembled is very innovative. Well, another example. Working in this domain entails modifying the algorithms as we are dealing with complex numbers. I'm going to give you time to think of this. Okay, the key information here is we are dealing with complex numbers is given at the end of the sentence, which should not be the case. Okay, let's try to rewrite it. We say, since we are dealing with complex numbers, working in this domain entails modifying the algorithms. Okay, another example. Therefore, the rescaled parameters seem to be appropriate for characterizing the properties from a statistical point of view. Well, here we have the same reason as in sentence number 4. The key information is given at the end of the sentence, which should not be the case. We rewrite it this way. Therefore, from a statistical point of view, the rescaled parameters seem to be appropriate for characterizing the properties. Well, rule number 2, place the subject before the verb. Place the subject before the verb. Well, the subject must come before the verb. The subject must come before the verb. Let's give some examples. The first one, in the survey participated 300 persons. 300 persons is the subject. It should be before. It should be at the beginning. We say 300 persons participated in the survey. The second sentence, were used several different methods in the experiments. Were used several different methods in the experiments. We say several different methods were used in the experiments. One, 2, 3. Well, with these values are associated a series of measurements. We say a series of measurements are associated with these values. Okay. Okay. Once verified the nature of the residues, we say once the nature of the residues was or verified. Okay, the key rule here is to say what something is before you begin to describe it. Okay, let's give an example. Among the factors that influence the choice of parameters are time and cost. We say, we write it this way to be correct. 1. The choice of the parameters, parameters are time and cost. Sorry, shouldn't be written this way. Let's read it again. Among the factors that influence the choice of parameters are time and cost. We say time and cost are among the factors that influence the choice of parameters. Okay. Of particular interest was the sugar transporter because we say the sugar transporter was of particular interest because. Okay, important parameters are conciseness and non-ambiguity. We say conciseness and non-ambiguity are important parameters. Okay, a verb can come before a noun if the verb is in the imperative form. Okay, here is an example. Note there is something. Note there is something. Here the verb is before the subject. Here is the verb. Or it's better to say, note the presence of something. Note verb, the presence is the subject. Okay? Or if the sentence begins with there to be, there is something. Okay, the verb in the infinitive form, I'm here. The verb in the infinitive form is also found at the beginning of a phrase. Let me give an example. To learn English, a good teacher is required. Well, here the verb is at the beginning of the sentence. Well, rule number 3, don't delay the subject. Well, in the following sentences, the part highlighted in italic occupies the key left-hand position, which is the position of the subject itself. The subject is delayed with the risk that readers may not even see it. Okay, sentence number 1. It is interesting to note that x is equal to y. X here is the subject. It is delayed all this way. Well, the second sentence, as a consequence of preceding observation, x is equal to y. This is the subject. It is delayed all this way. So to avoid this problem, we have either to reduce or delete, if it is possible, the part before the subject. Okay, let's try to apply this for the first sentence. We will say, well, we will try to reduce this gap between the or we will try to delete, if it is possible, the part before the subject. We will just say note that, and we are gonna remove this. Note that x is equal to y. So the subject will be very, very close to the beginning of the sentence. Or we shift the linking expression to later in the sentence. So we can say here for the sentence number 2, we can write it this way. We can say x is thus equal to y. We have replaced all this phrase with thus, and we have delayed it after the subject. Okay. Another remark: putting the noun or the pronoun it in the first position, like it in the case of sentence number 1, often delays the real subject. We're saying the real subject because when we put it at the beginning, it will appear like it is a subject, but really it is not. Instead, use modal verbs like might, need, should, etc. where it is possible. Let's give some examples. It is probable that this is due to poor performance. This can be written that this can be rewritten in a more convenient way. We say, we read it again. It is probable that this is due to poor performance. So we can say this could be due to poor performance. Another example, it is possible to do this with the new system. We can say this can be done with the new system. Another example, it is mandatory to use the new version. We can write it this way, the new version must be used. Well, so this is the subject. Okay, here are some other rules that we may go through all of them in the next time, inshallah. Plenty of rules. We can read them together. Rule number 4, keep the subject and verb close to each other. Avoid uncertain parenthetical information between the subject and the verb. Don't separate the verb from its direct object. Put the direct object before the indirect object. Don't use a pronoun it, they before you introduce the noun that the pronoun refers to. Locate negations near to the beginning of the sentence. Locate negations before the main verb, but after auxiliary and modal verbs. State your aim before giving the reasons for it. Deciding where to locate an adverb. Put adjectives before the noun they describe or use a relative clause. Do not put an adjective before the wrong noun or between two nouns. Avoid creating strings or nouns that describe other nouns. Well, let's summarize what we have said so far. Basic English sentence word order is subject, verb, object, and direct object. Keep these 4 elements in this order as close to each other as possible. Avoid delay in the subject, so don't begin a sentence with the impersonal it. Avoid inserting parenthetical information between the subject and the verb. Those gaps, I was talking about them. Most adverbs are located just before the main verb and before the second auxiliary when there are 2 auxiliaries. I haven't talked about this. Well, put adjectives before the noun they describe or use a relative clause. Do not insert an adjective between 2 nouns or before the wrong nouns. Do not indiscriminately put nouns in a string. And finally, this is a remark. Rules always tend to have exceptions. So you might find sentences written by native English speakers that contradict the rules we have given. Okay, let's skip this. It is for the second part, for the next time. Well, next time, inshallah. And thank you for your listening. Dr. Kamal. Dr. Kamal, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you so much for your explanation and your presentation, sir. It's my happiness to invite you and see your presentation and your session.
Thank you. I have the honor to be live in live session with you, sir.
Thank you. On the comments on Facebook, I seen that there is no question about this second part.
Maybe they have gone asleep.
Yeah. Is it an academic? Yeah, it's just one question.
Okay.
Is it academic to use pronouns I and we when writing articles?
Actually, these should be avoided. But if the for some kinds of journals they do accept this form, to use the personal form, especially for people who are like very famous scientists, and they prefer to use personal pronouns.
Yeah, thank you. I think Amal said thank you a lot. You gave me a chance to hear English again.
Great. That's
I
great.
don't know from where, from which time
I see.
didn't hear the English.
I see. I see. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Sir Suleiman.
You're welcome anytime, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you and good night.
Good
See
night.
you
See you too.
next session, inshallah.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay.